Hello.
Hi. So, Vivien, is it possible to do the inner piece through a remote crystal healing session?
Yes, it is. And so it's different. You have to approach it a little bit differently. And I thought it would be a good idea if we demonstrate because there's a few details that need to be altered in order to do it,
Okay.
as well as some choices that need to be made. So in-person and remote sessions can both be very effective, but you've got to figure out how to adapt. Some of the techniques in crystal surgery, like the microcrystal surgery, it's easier to do remote.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really hard to do in person. And there's an adaptation process that has to happen there. And then with something like an inner piece layout, where you're actually placing the stones on the person in order to get the effect, you got to figure out now how you're going to get that effect in a distance session. And it is different, that's for sure. So the first thing is you have your proxy crystal, and I'm going to tune this to me because you just got to get the in-person version.
Mm-hmm.
I now want to get the benefit of the remote. So I'm going to tune it to myself. So first I'll clear that, and I don't have my bowl handy, but I'll just clear it there, and I'm turning it into white light as I stroke it away like that. So that's white light. Right. And then I tune to me. It's always a listening game. You've got to be listening to the energy. That's it. Right. So again, you start with basic prep. I use a feather instead of a big fan. And we do this. I'm just going to get the bowl over here. I'm like not having my bowl. It's quite nice to have a nice big bowl and just scoop it in like that, huh?
Perfect.
Yeah, all kinds of little tricks coming forward. The more one does this, the more one learns.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. And again, I'm getting the instruction, slow down. So imagine that. Alright. Then I sweep, and I have this nice new smoky quartz cluster. It's just amazing. It's an amazing tool. So I'm going to sweep with that. It's got a nice thumb position there. And again, I can just go directly into the bowl. And that's sort of the nice thing with remote work is you've got such a small surface area. Things can go so efficiently and smoothly. I like it. And then like to open the chakras, and this is a basic wand. This is the Lemurian end, and this is actually a Colombian quartz, and this is a double terminated diamantina.
Nice.
But I actually like to open with this end. This has got a purity to it, this crystal. It's really nice formation. I really, really appreciate it, and I love this vortex here in the middle of the wand. And I like to open right here at the base of the root of the crystal, for the root chakra, like that. And then again over here. Just go, oh, I need a little clearing. Ooh. See that? I know shoemakers' children don't have shoes, but does the shoemaker have shoes? Is always what one wants to know.
I think so.
I hope so. That's it. And I still find that for the crown chakra, picking it up and doing it this way is very satisfying.
That's so strong.
Yeah. You see, and you're using both empathic resonance and kinesthetic awareness to feel that strength, aren't you? That's good. All right, so we've done our basic prep, and then the big question is, which bed of crystals should we use? And for the inner piece layout, there are three choices. that I'm working with. I'm sure there are more than 3, and it just has to make sense. So seraphonite is if the nervous system is all jangled. Then you do a bed of seraphonite, and the way that I do it, and I'm going to turn it for the camera, is I actually have my flat pieces of seraphonite, and they're longer than, this piece isn't long enough, so I added this piece on, and then I can just lay the proxy crystal on it. And if I'm doing the inner piece layout, I'm going to bring the proxy all the way to the edge, because then I can lay the other stones along here.
Oh, nice.
Because you do want it to touch as much as possible. Okay, so I'll do it that way. So that's if it's a nervous system is all, which of course does happen regularly to all of us. Now, if it's a question of the person doesn't really know how to relax, that's where the issue is. Then I'm going to be using my emeralds. Like so. And again, I'm going to bring the proxy right to the edge so that I can get the stones as close to touching the proxy as possible.
Nice.
Okay. And what that would look like is like this. So now I can't really fit the lavender fluorite on. I'll put it there so that it's touching. And then that's not the end of it. I'm going to show what to do. I'll just go over the stones. We've got Unakite. And Unakite is a combination of epidote and pink feldspar. And that is an emotionally balancing stone. And we have blue apatite. And these pieces are actually big enough to do an in-person session as well. So that's a nice piece of blue apatite, a little tumbled piece that I got. And then we have Metamorphosis quartz. And lavender fluorite.
It's pretty.
It is pretty, isn't it? It's really nice. Okay, so that's if I'm going to use emerald as the base. But what I find is a particularly excellent stone as a base for the inner piece layout is good old wonderful rose quartz. There we are. And that's when the heart is stressed. And there's nothing like heart stress to disturb inner peace. Interesting, huh? So that is a heart stone, rose quartz, beautiful, reduces blood pressure. It's magical. It's got everything from physiological all the way to spiritual. It is the most wonderful, powerful stone, and we don't use powerful when we think of rose quartz because it's so soothing.
Yes, it's very soothing.
And when we think of powerful, we think of packing a punch. So we don't put soothing and packing a punch together. But rose quartz packs a punch of soothing energy. It's the only way I can say it. It's really powerful. And I used to dismiss rose quartz as a beginner's stone. Well, I'm the one who's always saying beginner and mastery is the same thing. And that's rose quartz. It's a master stone. There's no question. So then I like to lay the proxy crystal on the rose quartz like that. And then, because this is big enough as a base, which I really appreciate, I can lay the stones right next to the proxy, like this. It's satisfying, isn't it? You can feel it as it goes down. There's that click as it clicks into the energy. There. And there we are. Lovely. All right. But that's not the end of it. So you can put these in position. You can do other work in the remote session. But you also want to infuse the entire energy field of the proxy crystal with these stones. And that's the addition that you want to make when you're doing this remotely. So let's have a look how that works. You take the stone, start with the Unakite, and you infuse into the energy field like this. And you can feel it, can't you? It's palpable as you do it. And if these get in the way, which they are getting in my way a little bit, we can move them off, because we're really working now with infusing each stone's energy into that. You see, you can't do that. It's unpleasant. It's just not nice for the nervous system. But this is.
Yeah, I felt the Unakite so strongly when we were doing the session.
It's extraordinary. I'm just in love with Unakite now. And these are ordinary stones, you know. These are not expensive stones. They're not hard to get. They're not rare. They're not expensive. So they're very wonderful, accessible tools. That's it. Oh, I need this. And I can feel it working on me.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I actually just infuse it into each chakra even. And the stones are guiding me what to do. And I must pay attention. I'm working on myself. And I must pay attention to what I'm doing, not what I'm feeling. That is the trick. That is the key when working on yourself. Don't try and feel and experience what you're doing. Go into practitioner role and allow whatever is coming through to come through. You will feel it, but you mustn't pay attention there. You must pay attention to what you are doing. You direct the energy. You don't sense and feel the energy when you're working on yourself. Okay, so there's our Unakite. It wants to be that way. They're very bossy, the stones. They never stop bossing me around. And we'll do the Apatite. I'm going to have to look up again what exactly all Apatite is. I just learn every single time. And this is just such a smooth. Can you feel how smooth that is as I'm doing it? Wow. It wants to go in there. Nice. Now the Metamorphosis quartz. Nope, it's bossing me around. Okay. I'm listening. Oh man, that's great. And it's so interesting because I can feel I've warmed up as if my chi is moving better. And so that's just a sensation that's breaking through, even though this is what I'm paying most attention to. I can actually feel how warm I am.
I'm feeling warm all of a sudden too. Maybe I'm getting a little bit of the effects.
I think so. It's coming right at both of us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't that look like it's lit up?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, it's getting a bit spooky in here. That's weird.
It's coming with the warmth.
Yeah. I'm seeing much more light in the proxy crystal. And that's what happens. You get this play of light. And, of course, that's all what crystals are about, the play of light. Look at this, how they're doing something now to the rose quartz bed. Now, this is the kind of stuff where I start noticing something like this. I'm going, hey, something's happening here. I've never thought of getting this to get charged with these crystals, and that seems to be what's happening. Now I'll have to watch and see if that happens in other sessions, remote sessions. And I'll have to start experimenting with that. That's really interesting. And then the pièce de résistance is the lavender fluorite. Just such a beautiful stone.
When you were working on me, that reminded me of rose quartz, the feeling of rose quartz.
Oh, it did. So there's a kind of compatibility for you between the rose quartz and the lavender fluorite.
That's what it felt like,
yes. Yeah, and that's more, then you just research more, because it's obviously a wonderful combination.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lavender rose quartz as well. I mean, that would be interesting to see about lavender rose quartz, lavender fluorite, and rose quartz, and see how those operate together. Wow. Oh, this really is soft, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Great. And so this is also, because you haven't got the person with you, you can't put your hands on the stones on the person. You can't do some of the other in-person things that you do during the inner peace layout. So in the distance session, it's quite nice to do this infusion in this manner as the way to get that release of the crystal property energy into the energy system. And that seems to be what works really well. Now I'm being directed to bring this over like so. So that's interesting too. So again, it comes from just listening. It just the idea that popped into my head in that moment. And I went, that's a nice idea. I listened to the idea. And I'm sure it came from the stones, that they knew what was going on when they set themselves up like this. I must just follow the energy and track it. And there we are. There's the inner peace layout in a remote session. So, and for yourself.
Will you leave it there? Wasn't it like 7 or 8 minutes for in-person?
Well, when you do the infusion, it changes the timing.
Oh.
And I'm pretty sure we did at least 8 minutes working with these stones.
Okay.
And getting it all set up and everything. I'm pretty sure we did. It feels complete. And it's like when the cup is full, the cup is full. Mm-hmm. And it feels like the cup is full.
Nice.
So we can stop there. And can you leave this in position? Sure. When I have to do a remote session for the last person of the day, if I don't have another remote session, I leave the stones in position. And I've spoken to the proxy crystal, I've spoken to the spirit guides, I've spoken to the crystals to say, what happens if you just leave the stones in position? And they say, when the cup is full, the energy system switches off the receivers, the receptors stop receiving. It's a perfectly safe thing to do.
Okay, that makes
it's a
sense.
nice question and brings out other information too. That's excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done. Wow.